Hello there. You are onto the Man-to-Man Session podcast. We raise kings to embrace their masculinity and amplify their influence in the society. Welcome. The Man-to-Man Session podcast is about to begin.
Hello everyone. This is me specially welcoming also to another edition of the M2M podcast. This is going to be a very special edition because I'll be doing it on my own. My name is Ehnkay Umoh and I made my debut on the M2M session last week. And why this edition is quite unique is because it is my turn to air my confession. So I present to you my story about my struggle with pornography addiction. Wow. It was Warren Buffett who said that the chains of a habit are quite light to be felt until they become too heavy to break. I mean, not really recite that quote verbatim, but I believe that quote really holds true, because I can still recall one evening that I sat in my room alone, looking back at the trail of my footsteps and looking, and for a second I realized that I had been addicted to pornography for over 10 years. Wow. I may not really know how to start this story, but I used to believe that I have a very strong memory. I recall things, I really capture moments and pictures, such that if I'm in an argument with a friend, I'll be boasting and saying, my mind is like a tape recorder. I still recall vividly how I had intercourse with a housemaid when I was it 4 years old? I don't know how, or I might not really pinpoint how it started, but that moment, that very scene of how we both went down together still stays fresh in my mind. I was 4 years, because imagine that scene. It's not as if I held it so dear to myself, but I tried my possible best to delete that scene out of my mind file, but it was never leaving. Just something I kept thinking about, reminiscing, pondering over. It was exciting and wonderful. Even when I got to 5 years, sometimes I will be in the bathroom thinking about that moment. It is my story about my addiction with pornography won't be complete if I don't mention how I was abused when I was young. I didn't really know it yet. I didn't really know it was an abuse. When I was young, but with time I realized that maybe that's my husband, she took advantage of me. Maybe she used to be at home alone with me, and I don't know where she is today, but the very experience that I had with her was the genesis of my addiction to pornography. But before pornography really became pronounced in my life, because of that particular experience, my dad was a medical doctor. He's late now. But I know how I was so tormented by that experience because I was seeking more of it. I wasn't getting it anymore because she was no longer with us. I did not know what happened. My parents made a decision that they didn't want her to work for us anymore. I recall vividly, my dad had a clinic. He converted our boys' quarters to a clinic for his private practice, and he had beautiful nurses working for him, so beautiful. Sometimes maybe my siblings were not around, when my parents were not yet back from work, and I'll be home alone, and these thoughts, that scene came flashing back, and I was just looking for means to release myself. I would go downstairs, run out, go behind. I was so bold. I wanted to speak to one of the nurses that I wanted to get laid with her. But I would stand behind. Maybe I'll get into the clinic, sit down there, greet her. But I wouldn't know how to say it. But because of my religious background, those feelings were really suppressed because I used to think that after all, someday I'll get married and I'll do whatever I want to do. But the thoughts kept coming back to where never leaving. And so one fateful night, I was about to have a shower. I think I was about 7 at the time. And I touched the tip of my penis. I saw how exciting it was, but I quickly rebuked myself. I cautioned myself. I really cautioned myself. It never happened. Never happened again. But there were days that I'll be in church. That same thought of the experience I had with that lady from my housemaid kept coming back. Most times I have a boner in church. I was just thinking about it. Most times all I'll say is, God forgive me, 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 God forgive me. God forgive me. So that's how it was. I fought it. I really fought it. However, I couldn't fight for long. Of all my siblings, I was the only one that didn't attend boarding school. My mom was really particular about me because she wanted to really look after me after my dad died. I had a series of surgeries to undergo because I had an accident. So she prevented me from going to boarding school, just like my elder siblings. I'm the last born. So for that very reason, I attended day school, what we call day school in Nigeria. It was all good. It was all fine. I was really, really curious. I've always been a curious person. Even my mom really knew that I was such a child. No matter where she hides things, I would always have a way of finding them. I wasn't a thief, but she was only concerned that those kind of abilities shouldn't be utilized in the wrong way. She was just very concerned, but I wasn't a thief. But this curiosity made me discover my brother's porn magazine. It was through my brother that I saw those naked erotic magazines. He hid them in his box. In Nigeria we usually have this enamel box that people use to put their stuff when going to boarding school. So my brother eventually finished secondary school and he came back with that box. He used to hide those magazines and some discs, CDs, porn CDs in his box. And my curiosity, yes, I really wanted to check out things. I saw those magazines. Most of them were naked, like they were raw, erotic content. I love seeing them, really love seeing them. Like, I think I was 11 at that time, and I was reading them, hearing them. Love seeing them. So, my elder sister once caught me reading them. She warned me that I should stop it because it's not good for me. But I never listened. As it continued, after all. my brother was seeing it, and why should me seeing it be a problem? So I continued seeing it. And I never let my brother catch me. He never caught me for once. Continued seeing it. But it's all good. I believe that someday, someone burns the CDs and the magazines. It must have been my brother, but I don't know. But that was it. Even when I was in school, I attended Ehnkay International Secondary School. We were getting older, and we got to 12 years, 13 years, 14 years. A lot of us started handling Java phones, Symbian phones. I believe that was a time that those Java phones are really, 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 really low. If you had things like Nokia E series, you were really a big boy in school that time. You had a Java phone. That was the time that wet web was really a thing among the boys. because that's where I used to get porn content. I didn't have a phone. I wasn't licensed to get one. Like, my mom never allowed me to get one. So, it was through my friends in class that we used to hide. Maybe whenever I see boys together shaking their head, it's either they are playing games or they are watching porn. It was fun. I thought it was fun. I recall once that I was watching it. One of us at the corner, we were all laughing at him. It so continued till I got to, I believe that was SS1. Yeah, I believe that was SS1. So one fateful afternoon, I got back from school quite early. At this time, we had moved from our house to another house, and I got home quite early that day. It was at this time that I started noticing changes in my body system. Yeah, the age of puberty. No, I believe I had experienced that puberty stage already. That was when I was in SS1, yeah. So in SS1 I experienced the puberty stuff. Yeah. So along the line, I believe that was the second term of my SS1. I got home so early that day, and we boys, we never really had our parents really focus on us when we hit that puberty stage. So most of us went wild. Most of us didn't know what to do. I remember the first time I saw my semen, all that. But about that fateful afternoon that I got back from school, I got home and I was alone at home. When I quickly recalled how I had found some porn dicks in my brother's suit jacket. So I hurriedly, there was a light, we had NEPA light, we normally don't have constant or steady power supply. So since there was a light, I was home alone. I already went to my brother's room. I removed some dicks. There were like collections of it. I brought them out. And I slotted it into a DVD, and there was I seated. Wow. I was watching some scenes. My blood got hot, and I ran into the bathroom. And for that very second, I later remembered how I was in the bathroom when I was 7. Now I touched myself. For a moment, I grabbed the soap. I didn't grab the soap. No. That very afternoon, that I recalled, that very afternoon that my blood was hot, it was just water I used. I touched myself and I ejaculated. That's how my porn addiction really started. And it came hand in hand with masturbation. Maybe for the previous times I was just watching porn for fun, but like I said when I started, the chains of the habits are never felt or too light to be felt until they become too heavy to break. I never knew the pit that I was really falling into when masturbation was introduced, or when I found myself wallowing in the mud of masturbation as well. So it so happened after I ejaculated, I really cleaned myself, and I felt so much guilt. The weight of the guilt almost consumed me. I managed to control myself. The only way I could free myself of the guilt was to confess my sins to God. I prayed. Told God, I'm so sorry, I'll never do it again. But I still did it again. Again and again and again, till those chains became too heavy to break. 2009 will come to an end, and I will tell God, this coming year, I'm no longer masturbating, I'm no longer watching porn. Maybe I'll try the first few weeks of January, I'll fall, I'll relapse. It continued that way. I kept forging ahead, pleading for forgiveness. Each time I fall, I pleaded for forgiveness. It became so tricky, such that watching porn was the bait for me to fall into the trap of masturbation each time, but I never really saw it that way. I never really saw it that way. But it was that same cycle. Get lonely, or maybe isolate yourself, entertain erotic thoughts, start looking at erotic content and masturbate, then the weight of guilt wants to consume you or kill you, and you plead for forgiveness, and he consume you with your life, and maybe sooner or later that day you fall again, or another day. It was that cycle. Isolate yourself, or maybe have erotic thoughts, or when the urges come, you isolate yourself, watch porn, masturbate, feel guilty, forgive yourself, or pray for forgiveness, then urges come again, you watch porn, masturbate. It was that way. It got so serious that I started doubting myself, that I really doubted myself if I was ever able to come out of it. 2010 came, the same thing. 2011 came, the same thing. The same New Year resolution, no more masturbation, no more pornography. But it kept continuing. At the point I had to warn my brother. Like, I spoke to him, like, I told him that he should discard his porn CDs, that it's really affecting me. He told me that it was affecting me, that I should stay away from it. He didn't really know what was going on. He didn't know that I was addicted to porn and masturbation. At that point, I had not really gone into any sexual relationship with any girl. So masturbation and pornography was really hell for me. I usually thought that, when I start experimenting or when I start having sexual relations with girls, that it will stop. That was the lie I told myself. But before then, it was really, really hell. There were days that I could masturbate like close to 10 times. There were days I could masturbate close to 12 times. What usually happened is that maybe for a particular season of my life, maybe for weeks, I will picture a particular woman. When I started out, when I started really being addicted to porn and masturbation, it was one particular girl in my school, in secondary school, that I used to use. And she was quite pretty. I used to picture her, maybe me and her having sex whenever I'm masturbating. That's after I'm done watching the porn and all that. Then sometime after a while, I started using my neighbor because she was a sexy woman. She was a married woman, but I was using her. And when I didn't have access to porn, I pictured these ladies in my mind and I would masturbate. It continued that way till one day, seeing that I had to do away with things that I didn't want triggering me to watch porn anymore. One day I brought out all my brother's porn discs and I destroyed all of them. I broke all of them. When he discovered this, he confronted me. I told him that I told him already. He couldn't beat me or anything, but because what would he say if my mom found out that he maybe whooped my ass because of porn dicks? So he just kept quiet. He was really, really furious. He couldn't do anything. So my addiction really continued. It continued. Breaking those dicks didn't set me free. After all, there was the internet. That was part of it. I really sought for freedom. I had to confront one man in my church back then, while I was still in Calabar. Though I'm in Lagos now while I'm recording this. While I was in Calabar, I confronted one man in our church. I explained my problem to him. It really made me feel bad because he said, taboo, that's a taboo. Would I say I regretted telling him, but I felt kind of free that I had spoken to somebody, even though he didn't respond in the way a professional will respond, but he prayed for me. But after like a month, I still went back to porn. So I still continued. I really sought for ways out that I would go online and read testimonies. I would see that some people were even addicted to porn for over 20 years. I was scared. I was just like, let's say, 4 years into it and I was that scared. I was 5 years into it and I was that scared. People gave their testimonies. I read testimonies of persons how they got set free. Some of them say that it was through the power of God. Some say that I read, if most of us are familiar with WikiHow, how to stop masturbating, how to stop watching porn, it was really, really hell. But it still continued. It continued. It continued. Wow. Now, I'm about to enter the most interesting part of this, but I believe we'll continue this in the next edition. So thank you so much for listening to the M2M session podcast. Make sure to rate and follow us everywhere you listen. to this podcast, including Spotify. Thank you for listening to our show. If you like what you're hearing, make sure to rate and follow our show on Spotify. And if you like this show, let us know by giving us a follow. And yeah, before you again, give us a rating on our Spotify page. You can be the first to know when a new episode from our podcast is released. All you have to do is click the bell icon to turn on the new episode notifications, or tap the plus sign on any episode to bookmark it for future listening. Thank you so much. Don't worry, I'll continue my story the next edition. Thank you once more. Bye bye.